Et in terra possum Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our meditation seminar this morning. We'll sit with our eyes closed. So as young Tung Rinpoche described when he was in Maryland not so long ago, the great compassion, or as he called it, the absolute compassion, is the practice of extending to each other and to the world, the cosmos, extending into the present, the person or the place, and extending into the past, and then extending the line into the future. So we do that this morning with each other and our friends on the internet. We'll extend to the present. Everyone here. Then we'll extend into the past. And then we'll extend into the future. The light of awareness not only illuminates experience, but metabolizes it, dissolves it, opens the density. Opens fixatedness. And the light of awareness is potentiality, pure potentiality. The great translator and teacher of Tibetan, Herbert Gunther, influenced so many people with his translations and his understanding, would so often say that Dzogchen was deeply influenced by the Christian Gnostics. The Christian Gnostics were the practitioners of gnosis, jhana, direct perception. And their understanding of Jesus the Christ, consciousness, was an expression of the primordial guru that is in everyone, the self-revelation of the light. And that the path, a very direct path, is the path of gnosis, knowingness. Knowing within and knowing without. Knowing through the unfolding of our life, liberation takes place. And many of the early texts were Gnostic in origin. And even the Gospel of St. John, for the Gnostics, was a Gnostic text. Of course, there are many views. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So for the Gnostics, the practitioners of Gnosis, the practitioners of the light, when Jesus in the same gospel would say that he's the light of the world, they didn't understand that his light was enlightening the world, but he was the light of the world itself. Or as the Shaivite masters say, the bliss of Samadhi is the bliss of the world. That the world itself is light. So the Gnostics were radical in their understanding that God dwells within them as them and in this world. The other interpretation, as we know, and was and utilized especially from 325 onward, when the growing religion or the growing path was usurped by the Roman Emperor. I made it the Holy Roman Empire. Smart move. And then the other interpretation became the Orthodox interpretation, that Jesus was an expression, the only expression of God, and that the way to God was through Jesus, and the way to Jesus was through the church. And anything outside that was undone. So many of the Gnostic Gospels and teachings then were eventually hidden, and in 1945 they were rediscovered. What an amazing text. Because how Gnosticism was often described up to that time, especially by the church, was anti-body, anti-life, anti-cosmos, anti-this and that. Sort of a reflection of their own perception. Whereas the Gnostic Gospels that were unfolded were truly the light of awareness, present in every human being, in every situation, and fully capable of being known directly by everyone. That gnosis was not an exceptional moment, but the unfolding, the natural unfolding of the light of awareness. So with that, I'm going to, if my little computer works, I'm going to read some little instructions in this light from Dorje Lingpa, great Dzogchen master who created and followed the Dorje lineage. And you'll also see almost the very same statements in the Gnostic texts. He died in 1904, and then later reincarnated as Dojang Rinpoche. So Dojang Rinpoche would often edit his previous writings in a previous life. So Dojang Lingpa says this: do not lose your sense of the light. Do not lose your sense of luminous awareness, this open awareness. Many would say that's the entire path, right there. To everything and anything. Then he says, thoughts are movements within awareness, and that who understands is called awareness, non-conceptual knowingness. So this knowingness that is not bound by concepts, gnosis, jnana, direct knowingness. And remaining in this awareness is called stillness. So don't let yourself be separated from these three. Movement within the vast stillness. And stillness within the movement. And the direct knowingness. This non-conceptual knowingness. Thought-free gnosis. Jnana. So even as you're hearing my voice, that's movement, and yet you're in the stillness. You can hear the words moving through the stillness. Then he would say, your own awareness is the ground of the whole of samsara and nirvana. So your own awareness is ground awareness. Your own awareness is primordial awareness itself, manifesting in you as you. And your own awareness is this field of potentiality, the light. Your own awareness as source, is space, luminous space. And the locatedness of this awareness is timelessness. And timelessness manifesting in time. Your awareness, this light, has no destination. It simply is. Ising. Completely. And your essence as awareness has no form. Though you're in a form, and time, awareness itself has no form. Timeless, formless, unbound. So this nature of this awareness, this emptiness, this openness, is luminous. And it's completely self-revealing, self-illuminating, self-knowing. So in that way, your awareness is the guru, revealing itself to you in time, through timelessness. Then Dojang Lingpa says, your awareness is neither one nor many, absorbed or emanated. Everything and anything is absorbed into this awareness and is emanated from the awareness. But that awareness is there. There. Then he says, your mind is a manifestation of this awareness. Every thought, every experience, every sensation, every experience, every action is a manifestation of awareness. Then Döjö Lingpa says, observing one thought after another is not the path. Witness consciousness is not the path. It's like counting sheep. Sustaining your own awareness, your own consciousness of luminosity, and the pristine awareness, sustaining your experience of and within pristine awareness is the path, this path of light. Your own awareness, the same awareness that's hearing me right now, your own awareness is ground awareness. Your own awareness is the ground of being. Know your own awareness, and you know the ground of being itself. Your own awareness is being itself, and this is the secret path of the Dakinis. Then he says, meditate on awareness within awareness. So when we're meditating, we're not meditating on awareness like outside of awareness, looking at awareness. There's no objectification. Huh? So we meditate on awareness from within awareness itself, relaxing. Relaxing. In the all-pervading, pure ground, this pure field, yin, unbound field. And so whatever arises, whatever is experienced, is released into the great expanse of this awareness. And this is called path awareness. Whatever arises, whatever is experienced, whatever is appearing, by the very fact it is arising within you and appearing within you, it is being released into the great expanse. It's the very nature of creation itself. Planets arise, islands arise, trees arise, and in that arising, they are arising in the great expanse. From the hiddenness into unconcealment. Path awareness. Then he says, through the absence of mental activity, ultimate reality, divinity, is recognized and experienced. Through awareness, and awareness alone, there's the dissolution of hope and fear. There's the dissolution of affirmation and negation. Everything arises from within this space of awareness and dissolves into the space of awareness. And this is the natural primordial awareness. And this is the nature of divinity. This appearing, disappearing, this manifesting and dissolving. And it is the path of liberation. At the very same moment, it is the path of liberation, natural liberation. Or Swami Muktananda would say, God dwells within you as you, and actually see God in each other, to know that is freedom. Experiencing, here's Tujum Lingpa again, experience the effortlessness. Focus on the effortlessness. The effortless nature of being that is free of all the extremes. And ultimately, it's free of going and coming. So even within the appearing and disappearance, there is, at the most profound level, the freedom of going and coming. Because awareness is the Vajra, indestructible. So it manifests, and in its manifestations, liberation takes place. But whatever is manifested, and yet unswa in and of itself, it is timeless. It is indestructible. So in the most profound way, you're both the manifested and the manifesting and the manifestingness. In the most profound way, you're the manifested and the manifesting. This primordial consciousness of awareness is like the sun shining in the pristine sky. And your own awareness, as you practice this awareness, becoming aware of awareness, that awakens you. By becoming aware of own awareness, awakening happens naturally. Self-illumination, self-empowerment, and awakens you into the essential nature of the ground of self-luminous beingness. So natural liberation is a metaphor, like the sun and its rays. So of course, this cuts through all divisions like natural and supernatural, spirituality and naturalness. So the ground of being has the capacity to give us the whole. It manifests the whole of samsara and nirvana exactly at the same moment. Just as the mirror has the capacity to give rise to all the reflections and expressions and all manifestations. Everything and anything can happen. The whole of phenomena is composed, so all phenomena, all appearance is composed of this natural creative manifestations of the ground, source, which in their own essential nature is primordially and completely manifest. So here he's focusing that whatever is manifest, even if it's so brief, is complete in its manifestation. Whatever manifests is complete in its manifestation. That is the meaning of the great perfection, the great completeness. In a certain way, he then comments on the very manifestation is dissolving at the same time. The very manifestation is dissolving into liberation. And every manifestation is dissolving into liberation. So know that this metaphor is like the waves which arise and subside in the ocean. Elsewhere he makes a comment that the word impermanence is a beginning word, but it's not a dynamic word. And in that way it falls short, it's incomplete in describing dynamic liberation. It has a nihilistic edge to it. The word impermanence doesn't really manifest the process of liberation. Sort of sounds like a bad day. So all appearance is released into the essential nature, released of their own accord as they dissolve into primordiality. Know that this metaphor is like the waves which subside in the ocean, arise in the ocean, subside. So space is the expanse of our own awareness, and all appearance is the expanse of space. Luminous space. remaining in awareness. And the Gnostics, whether Christian Gnostics or in the Dzogchen Gnostic tradition, they were not very institutional bound or hierarchical bound because of the deep understanding that they were the light. And the light can be given from one person to another. So they were not so much sacramentally involved through the church sacraments as the way. They didn't think you could institutionalize the light. Or if you did, then the very power that's in each person is handed over to the institutional frame. And you see that manifested in all sorts of traditions. Or as astrology describes it, for the past 2,000 years. Spirituality, healing, has been Jupiterian. The planet Jupiter organizes that fusion. It's a fusion of royalty, spirituality, hierarchy. Then with the unfolding of Saturn, the powerful planet of democracy, that illusion is deconstructed. And even the Dzogchen masters like Padmasambhava said, when planes fly, that is when this understanding will come into time. Where that understanding will extend to each other. Will extend to people we know and love on this holiday. Will extend to them this light, this awareness, this potentiality. Will extend it to all the cities. Will extend it to people who are leaving this realm, who are dying, who are dissolving. Their bodies are dissolving, but their awareness never dissolves. Another counterpart between Christian Gnostics and the Gnostics of Dzogchen is their understanding that there is an experiencer here, there is a transmitter of the great compassion, there's a who. Who? Jesus was a who. Padmasambhava, who? Who? Who-ness. The companionship of who-ness. Who? Transferring, transmitting the light to another who. Who? The great compassion. Who extends to who. Now the who is not an entity, not simply a body or a mind, but the who is, knowingness is. So your awareness and my awareness is a who in time and space. At the moment of death, as that mind and body begin to dissolve, the who-ness remains. The great text of Dzogchen, the early text of Dzogchen, the speaker was always a who. The speaker always described themselves as a who, manifesting like a who-ness in everything and anything. The Gnostic traditions are always radicalizing everyone. They're usually a bit outside orthodoxy. Because they're free of orthodoxy. And so ultimately authority, agency, exists within one's own heart and one's own mind and one's own body. One final comment about the Gnostic traditions. And Baba Muktananda once described it very well. Someone said to him, I don't believe in God. I don't even like God. Can you help me with this? And Baba said, well, who do you love? And she says, well, I love my son. I completely love my son. And he said, well, that's where God is. With that moment, he was dissolving the signifier, something other than what is known directly, beyond the mind, non-conceptually, beyond words and letters. Ultimately, the Gnostics were not concerned with signifiers. Do you follow what I mean by that? What was, and what is. And least of all, both the Christian Gnostics and the Dzogchen Gnostics also deconstruct the superego, personally and institutionally. Or as Swami Muktananda said, get beyond your mind, get beyond right and wrong, good and evil, better and best. even get beyond truth and falsity. Then you will live life after life in the luminosity of the self.
There must be
So we'll extend to all the ancestors, all the ancestors, centuries. We'll extend to all the great teachers and yogis I've had the great, great fortune of meeting. We'll extend to Lama Torchen who died this year. We'll extend to all the traditions that we participate in. All these incarnational traditions, embodied light. And they're always in every tradition, sometimes tucked in a corner, but they're there. Like Il Arabi in Sufism. Then we'll extend to the archetypical dimension of our own awareness, these primordial qualities, energies, who's that manifest in everyone. And this morning we'll extend to the Christ archetype, embodied in Jesus, in the Dzogchen tradition. Remain in that archetype for a few minutes. It's like an atmosphere. Then we end our little program. We're not going to actually end meditative awareness. We're not going to pop out, flip out, jump out. We're going to remain. Or sustain, as Tujum Lingpa calls it, sustaining. There's not much torture in it. It's pretty direct. You're actually in it anyway, just making it felt sense. Your superego will say you're not doing enough. And you're definitely not improving. It's true. You're not getting better either. Liberation in the context that we are. With that understanding, rub our hands together. Thank you so much. And if you like, you can stay and meditate to 9 o'clock. And there's some refreshments upstairs. I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. And do we have a program next Friday, Cher? Yep, we have a program next Friday. Thank you so much. Maybe put number 7 on again. That be okay? Some of these songs are composed by Bill Roberts, who's used to be at St. John's Cathedral, and he's a fantastic composer and musician, and really great. I'm going to bring his album upstairs if I can find it.
Terra paz,